Hi, this is Dan and Lexi from Dan Schultz Outdoors, reminding you to keep the adventures alive. Hey y'all, I'm Johnny.
And I'm Colleen. And we're the Keel Quest. And we want you to keep the adventures alive. Cheers!
Hey, this is Darren from Ride Paddle Repeat, encouraging you to keep the adventures alive.
This is David from Beasley Ironworks saying keep the adventures alive.
I'm Jay, that's Skill. From Jay's Way, keep the adventures alive.
Hi, I'm Kevin Collin, the Happy Camper. Remember, keep the adventures alive. Awesome!
Woo, buddy! Shug here! Keep the adventures alive. I am.
Ethan here, the Avid Outdoorsy Guy, reminding you to keep the adventures alive.
We're John and Aaron.
Keep the adventures alive.
Hey everyone, it's Kylan from Lure of the North, and I encourage you to keep the adventures alive.
This is Sky North telling you, keep the adventures alive. And now on with the show.
Tonight's episode of CANOEHOUND'S Outdoor Adventure Show is brought to you by OTG Meals. Fresh, freeze-dried, small-batch meals made for people on the go. Algonquin Outfitters, with 4 key locations in and around Algonquin Park to serve your backcountry needs. KIHD Products, stick stoves and reflector ovens proudly made in Canada. And Novacraft Canoes, connecting you with nature in Canadian-made canoes since 1970. Hey, well, hello and happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of CANOEHOUND'S Outdoor Adventure Show, a show that brings you a lot closer to the great outdoors. My name is Dennis, also known as CANOEHOUND, and if this is your first time tuning in tonight, thank you very much. Hopefully, we can make a believer out of you and get you to hit that subscribe and that like button. Heck, why not start now? You could do it right there. It's all handy for you. You know what? We got a great show lined up for you tonight. Just want to start by saying, you can hear me clear my throat a lot. Apologize for having missed last week. You know what? Sometimes the bug gets you and gets you not feeling too good. And I didn't have much of a voice last week, and it wouldn't have made for very good hosting skills, that's for sure. But we're almost through it here. Things are starting to clear up. I got my coffee going. I got all kinds of beverages here, a little bit of Halls, and even a bowl of potato chips over here that my wife dropped off for me. So we should be doing good tonight. That's a good thing. If you see my mic go off, usually it's going to be covering up a cough or something. So let's try and stay healthy and happy tonight. And hopefully everybody else is feeling great out there and you know, doesn't have any of these nasty things that are going on out there right now. Let's see here. Just want to get through a couple of announcements before we get on to tonight's show. It's going to be a fun one tonight there because I got some really cool guests, some good friends, and Yeah, we'll get to that in a moment. First off, just want to start by thanking those of you who were kind enough over the last week to buy Canoe Hound a coffee. Actually, over the last 2 weeks, like I say, because I wasn't readily available last week. But I'm just going to say that I'm going to get some credits going across the bottom here. Where are we? There we go. I got to find the right buttons. I just want to thank these people floating across the bottom for contributing and buying me a coffee and or a beer or whatever you want to call it. But a nice beverage of one sort or another. But thank you very much for the support. It's greatly appreciated. And same goes out to my channel members as well. I keep saying last week, but 2 weeks ago, I had mentioned that we have a new friend with Canoe Hounds Outdoor Adventure Show. It's somebody that I met on the trails, and where did I put them? Where? There's one. It's Lat Long. They are a map company here in Ontario, and they're making some great maps. Right now, they got 4 different maps. You could always check them out on their website at latlong.ca. They've got a Killarney, they've got Halliburton Highlands, and a couple of others. And these are highly detailed canoe tripping maps. They do have hiking trails on them and stuff like that as well. In some cases, show you all kinds of detailed where campsites are. And yeah, they're just great. Each pack comes with 2 different maps. One is a 1 to 18,000, and the other one's 1 to 36. There's also a ruler in there. That's a scalable ruler for the maps, and also usually a map booklet in there to give you details on the area and the maps themselves on what to look for. So by all means, check out and support Lat Long. You know what? They got some good things happening here, and I'm happy to say that they are a part of the family here. So let's show some support there. They make great Christmas gifts too. If you know somebody that's going into any of the areas that they're going that they cover for canoeing and stuff, they make a really good gift for that there. Let's see. Next week is our last show of the 2022 season, and it's going to be our annual Christmas soiree. We'll call it that. And you know what? We're going to have a lot of past guests popping in, and you know what? Maybe some of you in the chat want to pop in and wish everybody else that you see in the chat over there, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever it might be. But nonetheless, come with your eggnog and rum, come with your coffee, tea, come with your beverage of choice, and join us for a fun evening. It's going to be fun. You never know, Santa Claus might stop by for a visit, or at least Santa Canoe Hound will be here, so that'll be a good thing. Because I was off last week there, we have a few birthday wishes that we need to get caught up on for last week and for this week. Happy birthday goes out to Brooke Outdoors. That's Brooke Couture from Instagram. Christina Niegarth, I'm not sure if you're in the chat, but happy birthday to you too. I know you were celebrating. One of the Baird boys, Ted Baird, is celebrating a birthday. I believe his just passed as well. Another good friend, Karen Malott, happy birthday to you. And our good friend Brad Jennings is going to be celebrating a birthday very soon. So, you know what? If you have them on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it might be, fill up their inbox with all kinds of birthday wishes and wish them, a happy and prosperous day. But even with that being said, on a sad note, just want to pass on my condolences to somebody who's been on the show here a number of times, Mike Ranta. Many of you are familiar with Mike Ranta and his dog Spitzy. Well, unfortunately, Spitzy passed away yesterday. And you know what? Kind of a sad moment. Any of us that have fur babies know what it's like if you've ever lost one. And it's not a great feeling. So, Mike, if you happen to catch wind of this, man, we're thinking about you. Heartfelt condolences. And just remember, my friend, you made a good life for Spitzy, and you know what? That's all you can do. He shared a lot of great memories with you, but you know what? You were his everything. So that's a good thing. Gets me kind of choked up. But Mike, we're all here for you, man. So condolences. If anybody has anything that they would like to announce, something happy, hopefully more on the happy side, please do drop me an email at canoehound@gmail.com, and we'll do our darndest to make that happen. And we'll get you up here for birthday wishes. And same goes for if you have any topics or things you'd like to see on the show. And I have to say, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but today I just penciled in a very big name guest for next season, and it's not not next season, but like into the new year. It's not going to happen until almost March, but you know what? It's everybody's going to really enjoy seeing this guest, and I'm excited. I am very excited about that one. So I'm not going to give it away because I want y'all to stay tuned in, and I want y'all to follow us on Facebook and see from week to week who's going to be on the show. So we'll leave it at that. And then you know what? Tonight we're going to have a fun night. We actually have a great swag giveaway after the 8 o'clock break. So please don't go anywhere when we take our 8 o'clock break. It's a good chance for you to get yourself a beverage or get rid of a beverage or get yourself another snack or, maybe get the blanket or turn up the fireplace or whatever it might be. But anyway, stick around for after the 8 o'clock break because we do have a great giveaway tonight. And with that being said, let's move on to tonight's topic. Let's see here. Tonight, I'm putting the spotlight on a longtime channel supporter. 4 guys who actually have become very good friends of mine. We trip together now, and we do a lot of stuff together. It's what I see a lot of these guys on a frequent basis, even though they're in a different town and stuff like that. Heck, we were just at a Christmas party not too long ago and got to celebrate and have a good time. So let's see here. We've got. I'm always singing accolades of their product, and you can see I'm wearing one of their hats tonight. So these guys are 4 guys who created a few great outdoor products that I firmly believe in. And let's just bring them up on screen now. First, we'll start with Ingo and Helga Hetzer.
Hello.
Let me get rid of this off screen, and that gets our names on. And then we have Denny. And we have Keith, all the way from New Zealand. Keith is enjoying some nice afternoon sun over there in New Zealand right now. You're there till what? After Christmas?
Just before New Year's.
Yeah, lucky guy. You've been up there for what, like 6 weeks now, huh?
No, we've been here for 3 already. We got 3 more to go.
Nice. Hopefully you're having a great time. So if everybody in the chat hasn't already figured it out, KIHD Products, the name KIHD stands for, and you guys can put your hands up. K is Keith. Here we go. Ingo is I. H is Helga. And D is Denny. Oh, right. So yeah, first initial for each of these guys' names. Ingo, tell me a bit about KIHD Products and how you guys got to start.
We got to start 6 years ago. The 4 of us, we've been tripping for years, doing the Algonquin Park thing and wherever else. And we always had the Coleman stove and that kind of stuff. We were doing longer portages. We wanted to get more into the backcountry, more crown land, bigger portages, longer portages, and we decided, well, let's get one of those stick stoves from one of those companies out there and try them out and see if you like them, and that takes care of the old Coleman stove and the fuel bottles and all that kind of stuff. Lightens the load, and it'll be better for us on longer portages. So we bought some of the competitors, now competitors, and we're not happy with this and this, the quality, and blah blah blah. So anyway, I because of my trade, I'm very good handy with cutting things and making things, and so I made a stick stove and then a customer of ours of mine, he lasers, lasering company. So he said, I can laser cut these things for you. Make me a drawing, and we'll make 4 for each of the guys who'll make a stove, and then that'll be fine. So we made 4 stoves, and then of course all our friends, they seen these stoves, and then they said, oh, where did you buy this? Oh, no, we didn't buy those. We make those ourselves. Oh, I want one of those. So off I went to the cutter, said, John, you got to cut me a couple of more of these stoves. And then anyway, he said, Ingo, doing one at the time is very expensive. You know that. I said, yeah. He said, well, why don't you do 10 or 20 or 50, I said, 50? Oh, am I going to do it? Anyway, that's how it all started. He cut 50 stoves. We started selling them. And then, we thought, we're going to do one of those fall fairs. We'll see if, somebody's interested in that kind of stuff. We started selling these stoves. And then, of course, people come about and say, "Oh, how come you make them in cold rolled steel? They rust. Why don't you make them in stainless steel?" So we're thinking, maybe you should make them in stainless steel. And then another chap showed up and at one of the shows, and he said, "Oh, you got to have them in titanium. That's the best thing going." Oh, we're thinking, maybe we should make one in titanium. And that's how it all started. And then, of course, with every product, another issue: where are we going to get titanium? Where are we going to get this? And then we build a company out of it. That's how it all started. Yeah.
And like, I'm just sorry if I'm paying attention. I'm just looking up a picture here because you got a lot of really cool pictures on your Facebook page, and I just wanted to share a screen here. Let's see here of one of your prototypes, and look at that baby. Isn't that a beauty? Right?
Yeah.
Let's see here. There's another another one.
That's the single-use stove.
Yeah, I was just gonna say a little counterintuitive, eh? You light one fire and you have to go buy a new one, right?
Yeah. That's sitting in my workshop.
Oh, you still got that. So
Yep.
Helga, when you guys started with these stoves, what was the general consensus? Like, did you all have this idea that we could actually turn this into a business?
Yeah, like Ingo said, we made one for ourselves, and after several tries, it really performed well, right? So again, we showed it and people were asking for it, so we said, why don't we give it a go?
Mm-hmm.
And
cool.
It's been great. Having lots of fun.
Yeah. So each of you guys have a role in the business. I believe Ingo, you're the president. What's your role, Helga?
Pardon me?
Ingo, what your role as president? Is that right?
Somebody has to be it, so I am. I sort of made the first stove, and it sort of ended up that way. And then Helga is, what are you doing?
A little bit of everything. I'm vice president, and I do some purchasing and testing and
yeah, Helga
deconstruction trials.
Yeah, Helga looks a lot. So we of course expanded our line into pots, the titanium pots, and of course the titanium pots are not made in Canada. There's no manufacturer in Canada. So and the strikers. So Helga's actually the one that talks to, after all, China all the time. And China is they got cheap stuff and they got very good stuff. So at first we were really China. We don't China, whatever. So we bought some stuff, and they actually make some good stuff as well. Cost more money, but so it took us forever to get these pots going. We had all kinds of pots. None of them were really good, and then we found this one company that made these really awesome pots. Those ones, the ones we sell now. And Helga organized all of that. He's ordered, he tried, he talked to them over there, and half in the night,
Yes.
So that's what he does.
A lot of late nights talking.
Yeah.
And you've learned Chinese now, obviously, too.
I'm in the midst. I'm getting there.
Yeah.
What about you, Denny? What's your role with the business?
What is my role in the business? My role is finance. Basically, I take care of the books. I take care of invoicing customers, paying the bills. Also, I'm the IT department, so I take care of the websites, upgrades, adding new products as they come along, taking care of our point of sales. So when we go to shows, I'm the guy that makes sure everything works so we can make our sales. A little bit of sales. Once in a while, I go on the road, go deliver orders whenever I'm available. Help and go with stuff if we need to go to Canada Post, do shipping and stuff like that. So we do a little bit of everything. Like I said, really I'm mainly considering on finance and making sure the money comes in. So I keep the other guy accountable.
Cool. How about you, Keith? What's your role? Besides this guy could cook by a campfire. Let me tell you, everybody. Keith is the camp cook usually when these guys go camping, and I've been fortunate enough to partake in some of these fantastic meals made in the Reflector, which we'll get onto in a bit. But what's your role, Keith?
Well, technically, I'm the chief marketing and officer and the field tester. So being the field tester, I get to burn the heck out of my stove. I've probably got about 700 hours on my stove itself. Still rocking hard. We take it on every trip every year. I use it in my backyard. I cook with it, make my own fire starters with it. And then with the reflector oven and also with the stick stove, I've modified some of our camp recipes and tweaked them a bit. And then, get the the fine art and how to cook on a Twix stove and how to cook in our reflector oven. And as you say, Dennis, we do eat well.
We do eat well, yes, yeah. We'll get into some really cool recipe ideas that that you can make on these reflector ovens and on a twig stove and that, because you know what, it is a really cool art of learning how to cook, and it does take a little getting used to. But Ingo, what's the biggest difference, or what's the biggest benefit of using a twig stove over, say, for instance, a fueled stove like a MSR or another brand that takes some sort of fuel?
Well, the stick stove, basically, it's all about the weight that you take, right? You don't need fuel canisters, that kind of stuff. You just need the stove it comes in a little pouch, and that's all you take. And fuel, well, sticks and pine cones and birch bark everywhere in the forest. You just have to pick it off the ground, and even if it rains, there's always dry wood. The inside of conifer trees, break a few branches off, they're dead anyway. And fat wood, you find fat wood, and we can get into that later. We did one trip in Naganosh, and it rained every single day, and fat wood, we found a whole stash of that. And and it's great. You don't have these canisters that are Algonquin Park has their share of them laying around because people don't take them out. And so anyway, we just take these, and that works great. Yeah, and you don't run out of fuel.
Yeah. Well, you're saying that you and I did a trip last year up to Temagami, and neither one of us brought a fuel stove. We brought the twig stoves and a reflector oven.
Yeah.
And it rained every single day, like we couldn't even launch when we wanted to because it poured rain on us, right?
Well, you got the video. It's on the video, and it shows every day rain. Yeah.
And we managed to cook for the entire 4 days using what we found. And what was the one thing that we used as a fuel? It dirtied the heck out of the pots, but what was it?
Fat wood. Fat wood.
We found some old stumps. You break or cut a chunk of the stump off at the base of an old dead pine tree that's fallen and is long since rotted, and we pulled pieces off, whittled off. And not only did that stove cook our food, but because we had a hard time building campfires to stay warm, we set up a tarp. We set up that the twig stove on a grill, and we used that for warmth.
Yeah, and we had it rocking, eh? There's flames coming out of this thing left, right, and center, eh?
Yeah. So one just needs to watch my Temagami video from last year to see that. That was a pretty cool thing. I've always been impressed by the kid stove, but you know what? On that trip, truly cemented it for me, saying, you know what, you don't even need a fuel stove. Fuel stoves, they have their place, as do twig stoves, right?
Yeah, of course.
Convenience and ease, you go with a fuel stove. But if you got time that you want to kill, and you want to nurse a fire, and you enjoy that type of thing, a twig stove is the way to go, right?
Yeah. And here's the thing, in our case, I mean, for us, it's a holiday. Some people, they run through the forest. They gotta put we like to enjoy ourselves. We have time, we make time. It's enjoyment. It's holiday, right? And so we do our, 3 hours, 4 hour paddles, and then we can find a nice campsite, and we relax. Everybody does a little bit, and this is great. Somebody sits by the twig stove and makes coffee or this and that. The other guys, they go run around looking for firewood, and we take it easy. We're never in a hurry. No, we like to enjoy the nature,
Now, I probably said this story 100 times, how we actually became acquainted as friends
did we?
Well, first buying your product, but how we became acquainted as friends, right? And I'll tell the story because I see a lot of new names here in the chat that I'm not usually used to seeing. But went to the I think it was the Sportsman Show in Toronto one time, and I went out there specifically looking for a particular brand of twig stove because you see it all over Instagram, and the guy has a very good marketing campaign and stuff like that. And I'll say the name. It was a firebox stove. I went there looking for a firebox stove, and you know what? I got there and I started looking around, and I couldn't find anybody that had this particular stove that I wanted. But I did come across at an outfitter that was there had the kid stove, right? Called the kid stove. And I had never heard of the kid stove because you guys were obviously in your infancy at that time as a business.
Yeah.
Right. So I hadn't heard of it. You guys really weren't you're at a show promoting it, but I didn't really see or hear the name before. You've heard of Solo stoves and all these other ones. Right. And I passed on it when I seen it at this outfitter, and I continued through the Sportsman Show, and then I come across their booth in the middle of the Sportsman Show in Toronto. And I struck up a conversation. I think it was originally with Keith. And then Ingo got in there and stuff, and we just kind of started chit-chatting back and forth. And before you knew it, I don't know if they're good salesmen or if I sold myself because I'm a gear junkie, but I ended up leaving with one of their cheapest stoves, right? I just bought the Kid Basic stove. And I said, you know what? Made in Canada, these are truly made in Canada, everybody. These are made in Ingo was talking of China before, but these stoves and their reflector ovens are actually made here in Ontario. Supplied in Ontario, the whole 9 yards. So I said, I'm going to get one of these stoves, and you know what? If it's good, it's good. If it's junk, it's junk, right? You know, I think I paid $80 for it or something like that. And you were even nice enough to throw in a fire striker for it there with it, right? So that was pretty cool. Went on my merry way, finished the show, went camping with this thing, tried it a few times. And it was the next year I come back to the show again, hoping you guys are going to be there because I wanted to come and tell you personally that I loved your stove. And when I seen you guys at the show, we started chit-chatting, talking about canoeing. I told you how much I actually enjoyed the stove. And because it was so simple and it was lightweight in the whole 9 yards. And before you knew it, you know, I give you a business card and you gave me a business card. And then one day Ingo shows up at my store and he needed some print products because I'm in the print industry. And ever since then, we've been good friends. And like I say, I specifically seeked you guys out at that show because I wanted to let you know that you guys had a really cool product there.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
And look where we are now. I'm stuck with you.
You know, and we do get that all the time, actually, where people come back the following year, or we're at the Outdoor Adventure Show in February, and we're at the Sportsman Show in March. So there's about 4 weeks in between, something like that. And people, they come and they buy it, and then they try it out, and then they come to the Sportsman Show or any of the other shows, and they tell us, oh yeah, we bought it and it works great, and you know, so yeah, all the time. Yeah,
cool. So you guys, your stove, you have basically one design of stove, but you actually offer it in different alloys. Who wants to talk about the different alloys that you make these out of, and the reason why you actually make different types of material, like different same stove with the different materials?
Yeah, our product tester is going to talk about it.
There you go, Keith.
So we have so over our whole line we have 4 different alloys. The stoves themselves have 3. Our first one we started with, our basic and our basic plus, is made of 18 gauge cold rolled steel. It has a really good thermal property. It has one negative, being steel. It will rust a bit if you get it wet, but I basically clean mine once a year, and that's about it. But with the thermal properties of our cold rolled steel, it doesn't warp, and Helga can attest to this, and so can I. We've built some pretty raging fires in our stoves, and we've never gotten it to glow red, ever. Some of the stuff we tried, we actually got it to glow red and warp like crazy. The second one we have was a bit of a surprise to me when I got introduced to the metal. We have a 316 stainless steel version. And what's surprising about this is it's non-magnetic. It's a surgical steel. And if you put a magnet on it, it will slide right off. Ingo demonstrated that to me in his store one day, and it really surprised me. That one is really good in the saltwater environment. It will never rust. It won't corrode. It's really built for that. So basically, and now between the cold rolled and the stainless steel, they weigh the same thickness, 18 gauge. And an interesting fact is, a lot of people will say, how much weight can you put on it? Can I put on a Dutch oven and all that? There is a guy in a black t-shirt in the upper right-hand picture. He stood on it. We were doing a demo one day, and he actually stood on the stove. So we know it will take in excess of 230 pounds.
235 now.
Yeah, okay, 235. So our last but not least is our titanium model. It's a number 2 grade military titanium, has extremely good heat properties. It will warp a tiny bit the first time you use it because of the thermal properties of the metal where the legs go out. There's a distinct thermal break, in it. That one again will not corrode. It is a beautiful. Oh yeah, you've got the purple and blue going on yours. Pine Martin posted the other day some really nice pictures of it on his Facebook and Instagram channel, and he commented how he likes the purples and blues. The nicest thing about this stove is it weighs less than a cup of water. And a cup of water is 250 grams. And that includes the bag that it's in. So then we'll get to our last product, which is our reflector oven. A reflector oven is actually made out of aluminum. And we don't have to worry so much about the heat with the reflector oven because the heat is not as hot. And by making it out of aluminum, we're able to keep the weight way down. If we had made it out of titanium, you would have probably had to pay about $400 an oven. So that keeps it cost down by going aluminum as well. And also talking about the heat properties like I did with cold rolled steel. And Ingo mentioned that we tried various prototypes and stuff. We made a stove out of aluminum and we melted it. That's how hot we got it. We actually melted our aluminum stove.
One of your twig stoves?
Yeah.
Yep. We made one out of aluminum.
There's a shot there of the reflector oven.
Yeah, that's the reflector oven there. Yep.
Yeah, and then let's see here if I could find. Everybody's been seeing the twig stoves, right? So, is that a stainless or is that a cold rolled?
That's a stainless.
That's stainless, yeah.
Okay.
That's a stainless.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, you guys, in your research and development of making these things, and it may sound funny when I say research and development because you guys are really, and for lack of a different term, you guys are a small business. You're a mom and pop shop type of thing, right? But a lot of research has gone into this. Ingo, what can you tell us about like the reason why the kid stove is a kid stove? What makes it unique?
Yeah. So first of all, of course, this is a business we started. We're of course all employed, and we're specialists in different fields. So I happen to be a watchmaker. So I repair, make watches, that kind of stuff, clocks. I make a lot of parts. So I'm really good around tools. Helge is in the furnace industry. He's
play with a lot of fire.
He is, gas furnaces, whatever. He knows all about the heat and that kind of stuff. And then he has his specialties. He's in the printing, and he was in the IT department, and now in the printing. So we all had. Keith worked for Bell. He's retired now, and so we all have we do have a background of some sort, and then sometimes we pull these resources together. the stick stove, when we first built one, I mean, for me, making one of those stoves with the jeweler's saw and drilling some holes, I mean, that's I put watches together a lot smaller, right? So it's not a big deal to make 4 plates, cut them out, and play with them, right? And then, of course, we get this design going, putting our heads together, and then, of course, backyard picnic table, and we played with this thing over a few beverages and playing around and trying this and drilling some more holes and Helga knows all about furnace and updraft and this and that, and then of course the height. Our stove has a certain height. There's a reason for that. We just took a lid from a garbage can, and we took some sticks that you usually find in the forest, like your finger thick, right? We laid like 3-4, lit them, and we had a look on how high is actually the flame. What kind of flame does it produce? And so we measured that, and that's why the stove has a certain height, because you always want the flame hitting the bottom of the pot. That there's your heat transfer, right? Yeah. So these things all sort of as we put our heads together, these things all fell into place. And that's how it came about. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So now some of the unique things are like, I got the stove up here for a reason. Tell some of the people the features of the stove. Like tell them why there's a door with this. I think yours is the only twig stove on the market that has a door. Right?
Yeah, we're the only twig stove that has a door. So we have the stick stove, and we're filling this thing, and and then we said, okay, well, cooking is done. Well, there's a lot of wind going into this opening there. The stove still burns up the firewood, and then it goes very fast, and we can never keep anything warm on this thing. So I said, well, this thing needs a door. So we don't burn the wood that fast and keep things warm. So we designed the door, and we said, okay, that thing has a door now. Every good stove should have a door. So now we're the only company that actually has a door. And why is because we found it works with the door. And of course, while we're cooking, we don't use the door. We use the door afterwards. And also, when you have this stove, because you can make fires in it, we put the door in, and then we have a little campfire. Sometimes you don't want to build a big campfire out in the forest. You get to the campsite late. You don't want to stagger in the dark through the forest looking for firewood. Well, we still have a little campfire. We just use our stick stove, right? You see underneath the kid stove, there's this little latch, and I can actually, there's your stove, that little latch here. This is the locking device, and that keeps everything together, because it is actually just clicked together, and that little lever here is it holds it all together. And then we have these brackets up here in the picture. So here we have the design, or when you put a pot on, you still have gaps where the flame can come around the frying pan or the large pot, right? These straps also insert, so they're flush, right? Now we can put a smaller pot on it, and the flames come up the side on the pot. So even the straps, you can use it two different ways, right?
Mm-hmm. And what about using like a sterno or an alcohol burner inside?
Yeah. So also now I'm going to open the door here, see if that works. So in the inside, we have another cross bracket in the inside. When we use sticks, we don't use these brackets in the bottom, right? But if you use a sterno, you just place the sterno container right on the bottom there, and that gives you the right height for the flame to hit the bottom of the pot. Always remember, the flame hitting the bottom of the pot, that's your ultimate heat transfer, right? And that's why we, in this particular stove and in the Basic Plus, there's an extra cross bracket in there. The titanium, we don't have an extra cross bracket because this thing is made for lightweight. And anything, you don't need one. If you use a sterno container in it, you just put a couple of rocks on the bottom to bring it up a little bit. Doesn't really have to, though.
Right. So I've got a couple questions here that I want to, and a couple of statements that I like to pop up here on screen just so that we can address. Adventures with Josie. Josie's asking, what type of pots are you okay to use on a stick stove?
Well,
personally, Personally, I would recommend stainless steel or titanium. Stuff like the GSI Soloist, the Duoist, and all that. It says right in their packaging and in their directions not to be used on open flame. They're an aluminum-based pot with a coating on them.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter uses stainless steel. We use stainless steel as well, and titanium.
Titanium.
Yeah, so many people have those MSR or stainless steel pots.
Yep.
They're the cat's butt or cat's
Yep.
meow on these things, as well as your titanium pots. One of the reasons why you're carrying titanium pots now is because they kind of go so well with all of these stoves as well, right? So yeah.
And I would like to add to that the pots, you're not limited on size because your stove is pretty sturdy, so you can have like a large pot. We went camping. We made like a 4-liter pot on it, no problem. Cast iron, anything that will go on the stove. Like it's not shy. You can actually load it up, and it will not fall apart. You can go for the small. You can go with the big. You can cook like Brussels sprout for like 5 people, or you can have your smaller pot for like a cup of tea and stuff like that. So, very sturdy, and we've been using it like with everything and anything. So.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis, that picture you just you posted up there now.
Yeah,
that's my daughter using our stove. That's her Stanley stainless steel pot, and that was in Cape Breton Island.
That was where? Sorry,
Cape Breton.
Cape Breton Island. Okay.
Yep.
And you can see that stove has a smaller base, and Ingo alluded to why the straps could go on there 2 different ways, and you can see how the flames actually lick up the side of the pot.
Yep.
The other one I'm trying to find here is you guys have a rather large coffee pot that you bring on your trips with you, and there we go.
We like our coffee.
Let's see if we get that on screen, so you can see some of the capacity of this thing and what will fit onto it as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so that's we drink a lot of coffee, so we need one of those coffee pots, right? And we finish it in one sitting too. So at 1.8 liter, we get the stick stove rocking, and it takes about, well, in the winter, of course, a little longer because of the cold moving in, right? But in the summer, we have this thing boiling in 18 minutes, with a good fire, dry wood,
Yeah.
Yeah,
18 minutes to a finished pot of coffee, ready to drink.
Yeah. So in the winter, of course, that's a bit of a different story. It takes a little longer because this picture was taken. It was like minus 20 degrees. And it takes a little longer.
Mm-hmm.
But, so does every other stove.
Yeah. Michael Scherzberg saying, and this is something that a lot of people have concerns about when it comes to using a twig stove. He has mixed feelings about it because fires are relatively small. You have to pay attention to a lot more than either a bigger fire or a gas stove. Hard to watch the food at the same time.
Yeah. So this is of course twig stoves. It's a different cooking altogether. A stick stove, you cannot light the fire and put something on it and walk away and set up a tent and then come back and the fire's out. A stick stove is something that you attend. You're there, you cook, you shove some more sticks in. You can control the heat by the sticks in and out. You have to play with this stove the first few times a little bit. Once you get the hang of it, it really works well. Of course, that same question we had when we first took the stick stove out. So, gee, how is it going to work, and how are we going to get this thing going, and how long is it going to burn, and all of this. The easiest thing is just get one, play with it, and then you learn, and you'll love it afterwards. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the things Ingo didn't mention when he talked about the different fuels. We had a guy mention this fuel to us at one of the shows one winter, and so I went and picked up a bag. I actually have wood pellets that are for a pellet stove, and a good-sized handful of wood pellets in our stove provides super hot heat, consistent heat for 45 minutes to an hour, and you don't add any more fuel. So, yes, if you're using sticks, you're adding it. But if I'm using wood pellets, I can ignore the thing, set up my tent.
But again,
cook what I want.
you're lugging pellets around.
But then you're lugging pellets.
Yeah. So, but we of course, we take a Ziploc bag and fill it with pellets and a fire starter and zip it closed. We keep a couple of those with us all the time. And we get to this campsite. It is pouring rain. Okay, we probably find some dry wood or some fat wood. We're like everybody else. Heck with it. We're just going to open the bag with the pellets, dump this stuff in, get it lit, make a pot of coffee, and then we'll worry about the rest.
Something else I also tried on my stove at my day camp, because I like bringing it out to my day camp too, because you can have a lot of fun with it. That's what you're out there for. You don't mind spending time and playing with the thing out there, because it's something to do. Just like, and I'm going to get you to do a demonstration on how you set them up, because it's actually fun. It's like a puzzle in your hand, right? And fun to do. But I've used charcoal briquettes. And you talk about a nice, long, steady heat, Keith. Oh my goodness, it's like a charcoal barbecue. The heat that those things throw. So you pack 5 or 6 charcoal briquettes in there, and you have a lot of heat rising. You put the door on that thing, and she's just it's going up, right?
Yeah.
So we've managed.
When I tested it,
11 briquettes into one.
11 briquettes it'll take.
11.
11 briquettes. Yeah. We let it burn because we wanted to see what it can produce.
Okay.
It was nice, hot, long, heat.
Cool.
Yeah, and the other thing that Ingo didn't mention is like also sometimes if you get like smaller branches, you can actually quarter them. And if you basically do a Swedish burn, that's going to give you at least a good 15-20 minutes of burn without even having to add a stick to it. So that way it gives you time to go do a few things, like if you need to get other things prepped for your meal, like onions and stuff like that. Well, the fire is still going. So, there's always a way. And, you have Swedish burn to start. And yes, after that, you have to go back in and add some more sticks and stuff like that. But at least you're halfway there to getting your coffee ready. By the time you get back, you just add a couple more sticks. And as soon as you get cold, those colds at the bottom stays warm for a while. So adding more sticks, and you're back in business.
Yeah. Alan Beerhoff says, Jim Bear should have had your twig stove on that long trip he recently aired, as his gas stove failed during the first week, right? And so he ended up cooking on a campfire for the rest of the week, right?
Yeah, and that is something we sometimes at the shows. Of course, at the shows we get all the different customers, and some of them are believers in stick stoves. Some is, I would never get one of those. Way too much work, and I like my gas stove, and so on and so forth. And there's people, they say, yeah, well, I don't need one of those. I have open fire all the time. We do cook over the open fire as well, and that, Dennis. It's not a problem. But sometimes you don't want to build a huge big fire just to make a pot of coffee or cook something, right? And that's where the stick stove comes in. You don't waste all that firewood that's laying around that maybe the next guy could use on a cold day. It is smaller, and it serves the purpose, right?
It's concentrated heat. Right?
Yeah. Helga, just want to mention that because you're back a little farther, you just got to speak a little louder so that everybody can hear you. We had a hard time when Keith was speaking up there too. Yeah, there you go.
I'm gonna yell next time.
Yeah. So Ingo, we got a bunch of other things here that we got to cover too at KIHD Products, because you guys are more than a one-trick pony, right? But can you give us a little demo on setting up the stove? For those, when I first got mine, right, as much as I loved it, I go, my goodness, this is could be a little tricky to set up. But after I set it up like 2 or 3 times, I could almost do it with your eyes closed. And I know you could almost do it one-handed, right?
It's with everything. You do it a few times, and
you can actually explain the construction of it too while you take it apart or put it back together. I'll get your full screen too.
Yeah, it's where are we?
Left is right, right is left.
Yeah. So anyway, I just took all the straps off, and so anyway, we'll remove this part here. Let me see.
That's right. That's right.
And then we're gonna take this off. and then everything falls apart.
Yeah.
So there you go, right? And then you're left with
Pile of plates.
Pile of plates.
Right there. Which I store mine in an old CD case.
Yeah.
I can't show you. I'm trying to show, but I'll show later.
Yeah. So anyway, that's all you have, and then of course the little strap and the cross straps, and it's all in the little bag. Some people say, well, there's too many parts, we're going to lose it. Well, maybe you should be careful and not lose the things.
Or you store them in a CD case. Like I've done.
Okay. So this is of course on camera again a little bit different. So there's the back plate, and there's one of the side plates, and it's going to be a little difficult. So you just click these things together, right? There, that, and then this plate goes in the front. So where are we here? And then you just throw that little lever in here,
and the spring goes a certain way, right?
That's right. Yeah. So that's what it looks from underneath, and that keeps it all together. Nothing is falling apart anymore. And I just did that like freehanded without even put it on the table. That's it. How easy? That's how easy it is.
I've seen you put that thing together in like 10 seconds.
Yeah, we used to have competitions.
Yep, we time yourself.
Yeah.
Gotta have some.
With this stove now, you've also got a couple of accessories that you so handily created for it. Let's go over that, and then we're gonna get into your reflector oven.
Yeah, so we build a toaster, one of those pyramid things that go on the edge, so you can put your toast on there. And we also have stairs, and then also just a little dustpan that goes underneath. It's the same size as the stove on the bottom, and actually all the plates fit right into it. So again, when you have one of those little bags, those little pouches the stove comes in, everything fits in there. It's actually designed so everything keeps together in one of the pouches. And just a little added little things. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking for one on your site here, or on the on your Facebook list. No, I'm on your Facebook page, and I don't see it on there, the toaster, but it's pretty handy. There again, if you're a person that carries bread or whatever for your trips, or
and one of the toaster plates actually goes right across the stove. It just lays flat on it, so you can actually do a little grilled cheese sandwich or something like that, and it won't slide off because of the way it's designed. Right, it sticks on there. So, yeah,
cool. Let's see here. Oops, sorry about that. I didn't put the phone on mute. Okay, so Pine Martin's asking which one of these gents came up with that clever locking mechanism?
Me.
Ingo did.
I came up with that, and actually, what happened is I looked at hinges, and I figured hinges. Oh my goodness, hinges! Hinges are great. Everything sort of falls apart, puts together. You don't lose any parts, but we live in Canada. 6 months of the year, it freezes, and I figured, well, careless as we are sometimes, we leave this stove out in the freezing cold. It snows overnight, things freeze up. You want to collapse this thing or to put it together, you might break things. And breaking hinges is never a good idea, right? And so I thought, there got to be a way of doing it without hinges. And then this clicking mechanism, of course, was great. And then I put this whole clicking thing together, and every time I picked it up, it fell apart. And I said, I got to be a way of locking this. And then, of course, one thing leads to another. And I said, just put a bar in the bottom and bend it a little bit so it's spring loaded, and that's it. And so I introduced that into the whole mock-up, and that's what it was. And actually, I must say that locking mechanism, this stove is actually patented. Now, of course, stove is a square box you build fire in. You can't put a patent on that. That already exists 1,000 years, right? But the design you can patent, and that locking mechanism and the door has a patent on it. So it's actually, the stove actually is design patent.
Yeah, it's funny because we got a couple comments here in a row. Canadians saying hinges cause cussing in January, hinges add weight, and hinge is the new F word. LOL.
And you know, Dennis, what's funny at one of the show, I don't know if it was, it was last year when we did the outdoor show. I had a customer where I actually sold them a stove because they came over and goes, yeah, I got the other stove, the hinge, and I went to camping and the hinge is broke. And I just saw your stove, and it goes, you know, that's smart, no hinges. And the guy, I think he bought a stainless steel. He goes, you know what? I like the idea of no hinges, so that way it's never going to break again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the
really, there's nothing that could break on your stove, really.
No, and there are, you know, once you have the stove and you play with it, the dimensions of the stove, there, you know, all the sides are equal. The straps that go across, you can actually lose one of the plates, and with the cross straps, you can actually help yourself and keep the stove together. Even if you lose the front or the side, there's still a way of with the straps to lock this whole thing. Even if you lose that lever here, one of those cross straps actually will fit in there and will lock the stove.
Just give it a bit of a bend. You
just give it a little bit of a bend, so you can help yourself. Even if you lose a part on that stove, there's enough there to actually make it work. Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't even know that. Well, I learned something. I just learned something. There you
Here's
go.
a interesting thing. One of the reasons that Ingo did this he mentioned winter. This stove can be easily put together with gloves on.
Yes.
You don't freeze your hands.
Right. No, that's important. That's important too. That's cool. Well, you know what? We'll dedicate a couple more minutes here to the stove, because after the break, we're going to get into this reflector oven that you guys have created. That's becoming a very popular item for backcountry camping now. For anybody that's out there, you watch so many different YouTube videos and stuff like that. You'll actually see so many people using reflector ovens nowadays. They're getting to be kind of all the rage, and you guys have put together one that's really, really cool. Really, really cool. Yeah. But you know what? We could always take our quick little break now, and then we'll get right back in to
just to add that once we get the reflector oven, I have a nice little story to talk about that I found out at the went to a symposium from one of the girls from Tamagami. So that's going to be an interesting story for the reflector oven.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's take a quick little break here so I can acknowledge my sponsors. But I want to tell everybody, please do not go away. If you need to go away to get yourself a beverage or get rid of one, now's the time to do it. But when we come back, I'll let you know how you can actually win one of these possibly. So stick around, and we'll let Ingo, when we get back, tell us exactly what they're giving away tonight. So feel free.
Dennis?
Yes.
Okay, I am on vacation, so I'm going to drop off today.
Okay,
a little
we're not
early.
going to get to hear some of your great recipes.
Well, I got evidence of my great recipes in the two guys in the top right corner.
Okay, we'll cover that. We'll cover that when we get back. Keith, thanks for joining us all the way from New Zealand. You have a great.
You guys take care.
Yep.
I will. Thanks, guys. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's.
Same to you.
From the South Pacific.
Cool.
Okay, guys. Bye.
Take this little break, commercial break here.
There's nothing like being out there. For over 50 years, we've been connecting people with nature by building classic Canadian canoe designs using the best materials available. We built a reputation on durable, dependable canoes that allow you to focus on what's important, whether that's unplugging in remote wilderness, spending quality time with your favorite people, or nailing the perfect line. Visit novacraft.com to find the perfect canoe for you. and locate your nearest authorized dealer.
Tonight's episode of Canoehounds Outdoor Adventure Show is brought to you by OTG Meals. Fresh, freeze-dried, small batch meals made for people on the go. Algonquin Outfitters, with 4 key locations in and around Algonquin Park to serve your backcountry needs. KIHD Products, stick stoves and reflector ovens proudly made in Canada. And Novacraft Canoes, connecting you with nature in Canadian-made canoes since 1970. All right, well, welcome back to Canoehounds Outdoor Adventure Show. Hopefully everybody's enjoying the first half of the show here with our good friends over at KIHD Products, makers of fine-made Canadian-made twig stoves and reflector ovens. We are here now. We're going to get set up here for our swag giveaway. And first, let me lay down the rules of the swag giveaway because there are some rules. First off, I'm going to ask the question and I'll have it going across the screen, but please do not put the answer in the chat over there. If you could please drop me an email at drop me your answers at coasprize@gmail.com. You'll have until Friday at 11 o'clock to get your answers into me. And if you get it wrong, you know what? Chances are I'll drop you an email and give you a little hint at what the correct answer might be so that you can actually have a chance to win it as well. We want to have as many people with a chance to win this thing as possible. Ingo, you said you're going to be donating something for tonight's swag giveaway. What have you got, sir?
First of all, what we're going to do is one of these stainless steel stoves. We're going to give that away. All right?
Nice.
That's one package. And the next one is
more than one package.
Well, that's the stove, and then we give away these 2 items here. So it's a striker and one of the titanium spoons.
Oh, I've got one of those too. Yes.
Yeah. So and that's a price, and then we have a headlamp that we will give away. So you can draw 3 prizes.
Awesome. Oh, well, thank you very much, man. That's so generous of you. That's a good thing. And you know what? To all 3 of the winners also, I'll throw in a Canoehound Adventures decal pack featuring some of our new decals, which are reflective decals, which go great on a food hanging barrel. That way there you can shine a flashlight in the trees and you get a reflection of hopefully your bear barrel still hanging in the tree. Or you know what, they go great on bottles or whatever else you might think of. So I'll also include one of them for all the winners as well. So what we're going to do for a question for tonight, and it's going to be the KIHD stick stoves available in 3 different alloys. Now we're talking about the stove itself, not the reflector oven. If you could send in your email to COAS Prize the name of 2 of the alloys that they actually use to make these things, keep your ears open because it might get mentioned again throughout the rest of the show. So that's the question. That's where you send your answer. I'll leave that on screen for a minute. And we're going to move on now to the KIHD reflector oven, which I'm proud to say I think I had the first, besides your prototype, I had the first one before it was available to anybody else, and I was so excited to try this thing because we did some testing work with it.
You just couldn't wait now, could you?
Yes. No, I could not, man. You know what? That reflector, we've had so much fun with that reflector oven. As I mentioned, everybody, I actually canoe trip with these guys occasionally, and we've been to Naganosh a few times. Ingo and I up to Temagami. We've done Mew Lake stuff, and these reflector ovens, I'll tell you, man, they opened up a whole new world to me as far as preparing food in the backcountry. So much so that I actually brought this on our big canoe trip this year and invented a few new dessert items that the boys just loved. But tell us about the reflector oven.
The reflector oven. Basically, we seen the reflector ovens, and that came about 2 years ago, I guess. We seen the reflector ovens out in the field, and there's not too many makers around, and we thought, we can make one of those, and we didn't really have much experience in them either. So again, here I am. I said, I'm just going to make one, and we'll try it out and see what it does, and see if you like it, and if you like it, we'll add it to the line. So I made one of these things out of actually stainless steel because I didn't have aluminum kicking around. So stainless steel, and right from the get-go, we love this thing. All the stuff we bake, whatever you bake at home in your stove, oven, you can bake in there, right? I have actually, our prototype has a hole in the lid, and we put one of those barbecue thermostats in there, right? Thermometers, and we have this thing 350, 400 degrees. Good size fire in front, absolutely. We do anything in there. We do the pizzas, we do the cinnamon buns, we the free cousins. We a roast. We did a roast. There's the roast. Awesome. It was 2.5 hours in a Mylar bag. In actually on Wickstead. That's where we had the roast with mashed potatoes and peas and carrots and gravy.
We did that this year up at Naganosh as well.
Absolutely.
That was awesome.
Yeah. And I had a question today on Instagram from one of our followers, and he was wondering what the size was. So the dimension in the inside is actually the stove in the inside is 14 wide, that's inches, and 11 inches deep. So we can get nice 2 pita bread pizzas side by side in there, and it's lots of room.
Yeah, that picture there, that's actually the roasting in a pan with a Mylar bag, you said, right?
Yes, Mylar bag. Yeah, we wanted to keep the juices all in there, right? So, Keith is the cook. He does all of that, and we eat a lot. He cooks a lot.
Look at that, perfect 160 degrees. Nice.
Inside, yeah.
The first thing I just, like probably everybody that gets one of these reflector ovens, you run off to the grocery store and you grab yourself a pack of those Pillsbury cinnamon buns. Don't buy the 8-pack, buy the 5-pack, because the five packs are so much better than the 8-packs, right? Like as far as the bun itself. But one of the first things you'll want to cook on your reflector oven is going to be these Pillsbury dough things, right? Or cinnamon buns.
Cinnamon buns.
So, what do we got there?
And cake.
That is a double chocolate cake.
Okay, and
that is that's a muffin cake, and we put strawberry on top, and then slowly the strawberry sinks. Strawberry jam, right?
Strawberry jam, yeah.
Blobs on there, and it sort of sinks. And of course, it has a little bit of rum in it too. We put a little bit of rum over it. Got to have some rum in it. Yeah.
So now I'll get rid of these pictures because I'm getting really hungry now. There's a lot of unique things, but now the design of this thing, the design of this is based a lot off the same design style as your twig stove.
Mm-hmm.
Same type of locking mechanism type of deal, or like the way they hook together and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well,
why is that?
Well, because we like the design, and we figured it works on the stove, it'll work on the oven, right?
Yeah.
And this tap and slot design, why not, right? That's just the way. I mean,
again, no hinges.
There's no hinges, no nothing. So let me get this puppy in here, and let's see if.
And you can put it together in the winter without having it break.
Yeah. So there's the taps there, right? Yeah, and it just slides together, and that's what the inside looks like. And then we also have it comes with a grill. We sell it with a grill.
And it knocks down to this. So this here it very easily goes right down the back of your backpack, I found, which is really nice.
And we sell it with the grill. This grill comes with it, right? And many times we use this to do steaks over the fire. I mean, this is stainless steel. This is not aluminum. So that one can go right on the fire, and it holds 3-4 steaks, 10-ounce steaks, easy. And that's a bonus, right? You have that with you all the time. You don't need an extra grill when you go on your trips.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Here's somebody in the chat that actually has got to experience your reflector oven because he experienced it on a trip with us one time. Dan Millot, how you doing, Dan? Mm-hmm. Tell Karen we wish her a happy birthday too, if she missed the beginning of the show. But because we did pizzas when Dan was with us up at Naganosh, as well as the cinnamon buns, we did them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, baked pies. Look at this, eh? Yeah. Look at his emoji, his thumbnail.
Oh,
He's got a little reflector oven. He's got your reflector oven there.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. Great.
Yeah. So when did you actually launch this particular reflector
Well,
oven?
we worked on it, when the bad COVID hit, we had lots of time. So that's when that sort of all started playing around. Got to do something, right? Might as well design something, right? And so all of that happened in 2020, the first month of COVID, right? And and then it didn't take us that long to figure out it was actually good. And then of course I made the drawings, and it's funny because I don't have CAD, AutoCAD, and that kind of stuff. I'm not that good with computers designing. Old school, right? Pencil and paper. And made the design with measurements and all. And then, of course, I go to this famous John in Grimsby and I said, John, here's my drawings. We're making a new product. And then he said, oh, gee, old school. So he sits down and then he takes all the measurements and puts them in his computer, AutoCAD, whatever. And then he sends it to the laser cutter and first shot, and it worked. All the measurements were right. So we put this thing together, and that's how it goes. And then I placed an order, and it started, and we started selling right away. You got the first one, and there was a whole bunch of other ones that came after. I think the first week I sold 15 of them. Give a few away and sold a few, and the ball started rolling.
Mm-hmm. Now, where can people buy these things? Like you've got a website, an e-commerce website. Where else can people find these? Like you're basically based in Ontario, correct?
Yeah, we're based in Ontario. So what happens is, of course, we're online, our online shop, and Denny does a great job in keeping that alive, and lots of orders coming in actually. And then we wholesale as well. So we have stores, small independent stores right through Southern Ontario, from St. Catharines, outdoor-oriented, to Scout Tech in Mississauga, and then up in Perry Sound, White Squirrel Shop. And then Algonquin Outfitters, Tomagami Outfitters, Frontenac Outfitters, and in North Bay, Lefebvre, that's a great store as well. So I hope I didn't forget too many, but look for your independent small stores, and they will most likely carry our product in Southern Ontario. We're a small company. We haven't really reached out to other provinces, maybe down the road, but we do sell to other provinces. I just sent some parcels out today to Alberta, Saskatchewan. One went to Newfoundland, and in the States as well. We Oklahoma, Arizona,
Montana,
Florida. All these went out during the week. Montana, went to Bozeman, Montana. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's good. You're starting to everything's starting to really catch on, right? It's taking a foothold, and
it's taking time, but we all have jobs. It's not for the money. We enjoy the product, and we want other people to enjoy the product as well. And we're not pushy. We're just having a good time. And if you want to buy one, buy one. If you don't want to buy one, that's fine. But they do work.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I say, I'm just gonna go back to say it like before. To me, it's about doing something at the camp. You know what I mean? I'm one of them guys that it's like, oh, squirrel. I'm very easily, taken away from whatever I might be focused on. But I find when I'm working with the twig stove, it's quite the opposite. I don't mind sitting there and feeding the fire and waiting for that boil to happen. You know what I mean? Or actually cooking something on the darn thing. So I just find it to be pretty relaxing, right?
Therapeutic.
Yeah, it kind of is, because you could have your big campfire, you could have your own little personal fire right there, right? And we've actually on our Algonquin this is a fun one. On our Algonquin trip that we did the one time, I think we went into Rain Lake and a couple lakes up, and your friend from Germany, Klaus, was down.
Yeah.
And we were camped on the island with the giant chimney stack, and we got windbound that one day, and we had such a horrendous wind, and we had all our gas stoves and everything, but we all took the time, and especially Klaus, he situated himself inside the chimney.
Yeah.
Right in the chimney opening, and he used the chimney opening. He has a little fire going, and he was in there helping to cook your Daisy Lake special.
The Daisy Lake special, yeah. He was doing the gravy there, yeah.
So this is something that, like, you know, we could have very well just had like that steady, strong fire going, but it was just about it. Give him something to do. He enjoyed sitting there feeding the fire, adding more twigs. I think Helga was cutting up more stuff for him, and it was just he seemed to really enjoy that. So
enjoy that, yeah. A very, very interesting thing I just read here. Somebody is asking, can you use a reflector oven on a hot tent stove? So a reflector oven, it's actually something that you put in front of the flame, right? So when you have an outdoor fire going, your fire pit is going, you use the reflector oven and put it right in front of the flames. So you have the fire in front of the opening of the reflector oven. So the heat from the flame actually goes into the reflector oven and sort of swirls around. Exactly. So if you have a hot tent stove, you know, you have to build something to bring the stove up and open the door. And if you put it right in front of the door, it might work, but that's about the only way. You do need that flame right in front of the reflector oven.
You know what, though, Wingo? I seen Kevin Ride one time did a video. Yeah. He was in his hot tent. And he put the opening of his reflector oven right up against the side of the stove, had the fire rocking. And I guess maybe the ambient heat coming out of the side of the metal of the stove actually was, and he cooked a whole chicken in there.
Yeah, that's something to try out. Like, now we have not tried that, but that's the basic of a reflector oven. Now, of course, if ideas like that are always welcome. We don't have. I know somebody who's got a hot tent stove.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait, I had one. I don't have it right now. Somebody else has got it.
So we got it. Actually, that's
We'll have to try it.
That's a point. We're probably gonna play around with it next time we go winter camping, which is probably in January, February. You know, that might be an idea to see if that heat from the side of the store actually will go in there and do something. Yeah. But ideally, that's what the reflector oven does. The heat from the flame goes in and starts baking.
Then you'll see how good it actually works, and you'll have to make a wood stove bracket to hold the twigs.
The wheels are turning.
Yeah, there we go. We're already planning it, so
we're picturing it already.
Yeah.
Or you know what you might have to do? You might have to develop your own version of a kid stove oven, like oven for
just
furnace heater. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Hot stove, right? Oh boy. Wait, I see smoke rising.
You know, I think we have these things here we get into once in a while, right? Boy, there's great ideas coming out of that. So these ones are cherries, and they're in what is it? Fireball, right? Dennis, that's a great recipe you had there, eh?
Yeah. Once
So
in a while, I hit one, right?
This is for the green room later.
We don't make those on the stove or in the oven, though, everybody. But you could use them for baking.
This is for thinking. This is for dreaming up new ideas.
Dennis, if we bring one of those camping, we can actually put it in the batter for the cake, and then we actually cook with them. There is possibilities there.
Every cherry comes with a surprise, though. They all have their pits in them, right?
Oh well.
Denny, you said you had a story about the reflector oven.
I do have a story. Like during the winter symposium, in November, one of the girls from Temagami came over. She goes, hey, Denny, it's like we bought your reflector oven last year, and it came very useful. She goes, like, we made like cakes, we made pizzas, we made everything. But she goes, I got a very good story for you. I goes, what's the story? She goes, well, they went with one of their friends that's fairly new at canoeing and portaging and stuff like that. And she was unloading the canoe. And what happened once in a while, LG might tell us, you slip in the water and your shoes and your socks gets wet. So she goes, my friend had like only 2 pair of socks, like they were drenched, and they had the reflector oven going because they were like making a cake. And as soon as they were done with the cake, they actually took the socks, put them on the grill, and put them close to the reflector oven. He goes, it's the best dryer that I ever bought. It took like 15 minutes, and those socks were ready to go.
No kidding.
No kidding. So I laugh. I goes, now we have to add that as sock dryers.
Wow. There you
So
go.
next time you get your socks wet, we do have a solution for you.
You can put that on your website, right?
Yep. Well, we'll have that the website as and also used for drying socks. But that was very funny. Like I go, wow, that's very interesting. But you know how many people, like even at the symposium, that people have bought a reflector oven, the stove, that people come over and they say, you know what, great product. It hasn't let us down. And actually had somebody else who actually came to me, and you know, we always gonna use like a Firefly, Dragonfly, like a different stove just in case of emergency. And they actually used their stove as emergency, and actually it came very handy because their gas stove died on them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, you know what?
Nowhere. Like
if you factor in, say for instance, the weight of your fuel that you carry for a week-long trip, and if you had a really lightweight stove, right, like or one of those like little pocket rocket type of things, and you brought half the fuel in a twig stove, you're kind of at an equivalent there, right? But you have something that you're going to be, which is probably way better for the environment. You're not blowing fuel, right? You're just cleaning up campsite, basically twigs and sticks off the floor or off the ground, right? So, you know, you can use it when you need to, or if you need to get that quick shot of coffee or oatmeal in the morning because you want to hit the water right away, then you use your little pocket rocket. So there is a balance, right? There is a need for both a twig stove and a reflector oven. The reflector, or sorry, twig stove and a fuel, but the reflector oven is a luxury. You know, a lot of these shows that I do, right? Everybody says, "Oh, what's your favorite piece of gear or your favorite piece of luxury gear?" And everybody, "Oh, it's a chair, or it's a camp pillow," or you know what? One day somebody's going to say it's one of these reflector ovens, because with this one particular thing, you can make so many comfort items. You know, you can make yourself your cinnamon buns. You can do your bannock in there. You could do your pizzas. You know, if you have, even if you had, say, for instance, freeze dried meal, you could actually put that in there. If you had like a lasagna or something, you could put it in there and bake it a bit more. You know what I mean? To sort of firm up the noodles or something. So there's so many different things that you could do with the reflector oven that could add a lot of comfort. And there again, it's so much fun. And I have to say this, it's so much fun to be baking in the backcountry, because when you're doing these cinnamon buns and you watch these things go in their little dough ball, right? And you watch it, you could actually, I did a time lapse in the one video, and you could see you can see this thing puff right up. So you can watch your cheese melting on your pizza. And they're just, it's fun. It's fun. It's something to do at the camp to kill a day, right?
Yeah. So Dennis, think about it. Like, you know, you go out in the old days, we used to go out with the Coleman stove. You used to bring all those fuel bottles. Then we had the MSR stove. You bring all those fuel bottles. And a lot of people comes to it when they come to the show, goes, you know, like, I don't know about the twig stove. It goes, think about it. You're going out with like maybe 4 or 5 guys. You get to bring like 6, 7 bottles of fuel. Well, what happened when your bottles are empty? Well, you still carry them out, because the bottles will go away, and it still keeps weight into your gears and everything. Say, we go out, and I would say 90 to 95% of the time, we use our stick stove to cook. Like basically, we use very little fuel. We bring very little fuel. Like we might we used to go out with like 8-9 bottles because we used to go like for 7 days, and we drank a lot of coffee. It takes a lot of fuel. But now we go out with maybe like 3 bottles, 2.5, based on the length of the trip.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time we come back and we still have fuel because we use the stove, but we minimize the weight that we put, the space that it saves in your gear bag. You know, like all those bottles take space. So now you take out like 5-6 bottles out of your gear bag. Guess what? You got space to put other things that are light, reflector oven,
cinnamon buns, extra naan bread, extra pizza sauce.
Yeah, but it's still lighter than carrying that fuel. So, but that's the idea. Like less fuel, and the stick stove, reflector oven, the fuel is right where you go. So you have it right in hand.
Exactly. Now, to everybody in the chat, I put a quick post up there. If anybody wants to pop in, share a quick story, ask a question, maybe you have a recipe for a reflector oven or twig stove, come on and share. And I see we've already got a taker down here. So let's welcome to the stream another regular on the show, Pine Martin. How you doing, Martin?
I'm very well.
Hello, Martin.
Hey.
Good.
Hello, gentlemen.
So you're new to the ranks of KIHD Products.
Well, I am and I'm not. So I've known about the KIHD stove for a long time. I think I think it was at one of the canoe symposiums, or maybe it was the winter camping symposium. The first time I spoke to it at one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You gentlemen were there, and you had your stove, and I don't think I'd ever heard of them or seen them before. And you know that I have at every show that I've been to since gone to your booth and looked at your stoves and fiddled with them. And there was an after party one time, and I remember you brought one out, and I played with it and I assembled it and disassembled it, because I am a long time twig stove user. It's really all I use except for a Trangia stove for some purposes. But I love cooking on a twig stove, and it doesn't matter what I'm eating or what I'm cooking, how elaborate or how simple, or even if I'm just boiling water for a bush coffee or something like that on a day trip. I love a twig stove for all the reasons that you've outlined. It's just fun. It's very zen. You get focused on this little thing. It keeps you busy. It's especially fun on those rainy days. You know, when you're stuck under the tarp, it's pouring rain, right? You don't want to have to go through a lot of firewood to feed a campfire because everything's wet anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy to just while away some hours and play and slowly cook and slowly. You don't have to be in a hurry. You can cook slowly, but you can also, with a good twig stove, if it's well designed, as the KIHD stove is, you can really get a fast boil going. In fact, I was out. So I just bought a KIHD stove. So long story short, I am not new to KIHD stoves. I've been eyeing them for a long time. I have friends who have them. My friend Nate Muskoka has one, and I've been waiting for a long time. But I wanted to get the titanium, so I had to save up. But this is my third titanium twig stove. Okay, I have a problem. I like titanium and I like twig stoves, so I am now the proud owner of a third titanium twig stove. But I this might be my favorite. It's hard to say. They have different. I use different stoves for different purposes. I have one that's even lighter than yours for backpacking, ultralight backpacking. It's super light, but it is not as versatile as your stove is, and it doesn't burn as hot, and you can't get a boil with it as quickly as with your stove, which I really like about your stove. But I was out with my girlfriend just a few days ago. We were just hiking out in the snow, and she'd never used a twig stove before. And so I broke it out and I said, here we go. You do it. And I had her light it with a ferro rod and everything. Within a few minutes, I don't remember, I wasn't timing it, but within a few minutes, we had a nice roiling boil going. And she went, I didn't take any time at all. Because I had said, well, it's not as fast as, a gas stove or something like that, right? Other fuel stoves. So I'm not new to them. I just had my eye on them for a long time, but it's taken me years to pull the trigger. And I just celebrated a birthday recently. So I went down to Algonquin Outfitters here in Huntsville, and I said, okay, give me the titanium stove. I'm ready. And I'm very glad I have it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
for buying one and coming on and telling your story. We know you've been eyeing them for a while, and we had little bets going. How long?
Who won the pool, Engel? Who won the pool?
I gotta look. You wrote it down somewhere. Now I know that you bought one. I gotta look and see who won.
Okay, I'm curious the story behind that bet, but maybe you can tell me that off. But what's funny is, so I had a titanium twig stove. and I've had 2 titanium twig stoves in the time that I've been sort of looking at yours. And so it's kind of hard to justify, a second and third titanium twig stove, right? So it took a long time, but I'm really glad that I did. And actually, I want to set the record straight. So I posted a few days ago that I had just purchased this thing, and it was, and I was celebrating a birthday. And some people thought that you had gifted me the stove, and I want to disabuse anyone who's under that misapprehension. This was not a gift. You didn't cut me a deal or anything like that. I bought it not directly from you, but from Algonquin Outfitters. You didn't know anything about it. This is not a paid endorsement of your stove. Okay. I've been eyeing it for a long time. I've wanted one for a long time. It just, finally the time was right. And then it was my birthday. So I gifted myself a twig stove because no one else was going to buy me one.
Happy belated birthday. Yeah. So since you bought the titanium stove now, we do have titanium pots, right?
Yeah, I bought one.
The sales pitch right there, man.
Yeah, I bought one.
There's the upsell there, Martin.
I want to mention something about your titanium pots, by the way. This is really going to sound like a paid advertisement, but okay. So I've seen 2 of your titanium pots. There's a 700 mil and an 1100 mil that I've seen. I bought the 700 mil because I already have something that's just about an 1100 mil already, also in titanium. But what I like about your pots is that they have butterfly handles. You know, those folding handles that fold out from the side that you can hold like a handle, like a mug. That's it. And they have a bail handle on top, so you can suspend it over a fire. It's easy to pick the pot up. And even the lid has a little triangular ring, like a D-ring. It's triangular, and it has a little locking. You slide it sideways, and it kind of locks into position in an upright position, and that's excellent, right? So everything about those pots is well designed, and besides being titanium, there's a lot of ways to use it. And one of the things that I like about the butterfly handles that fold out is that even if you're not using the bail handle, and you have it folded down, which will be maybe too close to the flame, those butterfly handles that when they're folded or when they're opened up outwards, extend outside the range of the flame. Yep. So you can still pick up the pot and take it off and look and feed the fire and put it back on. You have to be careful, of course, because titanium does communicate heat fairly quickly, but they're really a sort of a good accessory to use with a titanium stove because they're so versatile because of the bail handle and the butterfly handles.
Yeah, I must say it took us a long time to come up with that pot. I mean, this pot is purchased. We don't make these pots. There's no pot manufacturer really to speak of in Canada. This is one of the things about Canada. You know, we're 38 million people in the second largest country in the world. Yeah. But only 38 million people and spread over the whole country. Our industry, some things we make, we produce and we're good at it. And some of them we just don't because we don't have the population to sustain a proper industry. So, of course, the pots we had to purchase somewhere else. Yep. But it took us an awful long time to come up with this pot. Find the right pot. The lid had to fit proper, and the tap on the little on the lid was important because you're forever trying to get that little triangle up with your fingers. Yes. And once you halfway got it, the lid falls off into the fire, right? Yep. So that was important to us, and of course the bail handle. Many times, yes, you hang the thing over the fire. Yep. Why not? Right. And the measurement.
That measurement thing right there is one of my favorite things on there as well. I have another titanium pot set that I bought off of Amazon. And as nice as the set is, it's got like a really goofy lid. While another pot is actually the lid, but it doesn't have this. And to me, I think that is so important because sometimes your Nalgene bottle is, full of your drinking stuff and you can't use it for the measurements on the side. Mm-hmm. So, to be able to take your water filter and squeeze some water into there and you'd be able to fill it by the marks that are actually inside of the pot as well. Right there, you can see them.
Yep.
Right. To me, that's one of the big things I like. And the other thing too, is you sell these individually, but I happen to have one of each, and this is the 750 here, and this is the 1100, and they do fit inside of each other, but the big lid doesn't go on top. So I put that in the bottom of the bag that comes with it. Nice meshy bag type of thing with each of them. I put that in first, and then I put my pots inside of it. I close my butterfly handles and then that goes inside of the bag and it cinches up. And there you go. There's still room in there to put a nano stove if you got one of those little micro stoves or something, right? But there you go. Whole kit. Yeah, 2 pots.
There was something I wanted to address. It was a question that was brought up. I believe it was Nancy W. who said, can you use a twig stove when there's a fire ban? And no, you can't, because to avoid a fire ban, you have to have a stove that has a valve that shuts off the flame, or it has to have a lid that closes off the flame completely.
Yeah.
So I've been using the Trangia stove for years, because the Trangia has a lid and it satisfies that condition. So it's an alcohol burning stove, but you can just throw the lid on and it snuffs out the flame. Now, one of the things I was looking for in a twig stove was something that I could use in conjunction with the Trangia stove, and your stove is designed such that you can do that. Maybe you wanted to say something about that, because it gets around the fire ban problem. Just bring your little Trangia alcohol burner and a bit of alcohol. It's a great backup if everything is soaked and you want to have a quick fire. Your kid stove is now a pot stand for your Trangia stove.
Exactly, and that's what I was getting at. Yeah, and also we have these gel containers. These gel containers you get for the fondue sets. You get them at the Home Hardware in a 3-pack for $10. These things actually work very well, and they do fit in our stove as well. You get the cross bracket on, and that gel burns a long time, and it does a good trick too, right? I mean, with the heights of the stove, it designed that these Trangia pots fit right in there. Yeah.
Okay. I have one question for you. So are you familiar with what's called the Swedish stove technique? Swedish torch technique, where you take a round of wood, you quarter it,
build a fire in the middle, and it burns outward. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you've got like a little chunk of wood that you've quartered. Just imagine a round of wood that you've quartered. You put the 4 quarters right in there, and then you cram a bunch of kindling and tinder in it, and you light it.
Yeah.
Now, I want to experiment with that, but in your experimentation with this, is it better to keep the door open or the door closed when you're doing
Keep
that?
the door open. Always, you want to introduce lots of oxygen. But here's a cross strap. Okay. Here's the middle. The middle right here.
Yep.
That length here is the height you want to cut. So when you have your branch that thick,
right,
you lay it on the edge, and where the center is.
Yeah.
You cut.
Where it's a measuring stick.
So exactly. when you lay that in here, can you see just a little bit of light there?
Here, let me put your full screen there.
That's where your center line is. See that light there? Yeah. Shining through. That's the right height. So this strap here, just lay it on your log, right, and then cut where the center is from edge, from edge to center. That's the height for the log, and then just cut it, pull it apart a little bit, build your fire right in the center, and that burns outward. Leave the door open though.
Okay, well, I'm going to try this out, and you'll likely be seeing some little Instagram posts or YouTube video or something of me experimenting with it. But anyway, thanks for answering that question.
And another thing I would like to add to, like we're talking about those chafing dish containers. What people don't realize is that everybody remembers the 2003 power outage we had. We had a massive power outage. People had no power. You could make yourself a soup on your stove because it's fully legal. You get your fan going. You could actually cook with the kid stove in your house using those chafing dish, because it's a nice little emergency stove to have, because it could bail you out with anything like winter. You got a power outage. You could actually put that chafing dish in and make a soup, warm up some beans, whatever you have on hand. You can still heat. You don't have to wait for the power to come back to have a nice warm meal.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. That's cool. That strap trick, Tara, I've actually used that, because I'll find myself out at my day camp. You've seen it and go, I'll find something, that's almost not quite as big around as the kid stove is big, like square. And then you just chop them into quarters, put them in there, and yeah, you get a longer burn out of that too, right? Wow.
Yeah,
that's
all
cool.
little tricks. Yeah.
Martin, if you want to hit the green room after, you're more than welcome to join us.
Okay, well, thank you very much for having me on, gentlemen.
Thanks, Martin.
Welcome, Martin.
All right. Thanks for making a great product. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know what? There's a lot of the bigger YouTuber names are starting to pick up on the kid stove and reflector oven too. And the pots that you're selling too. I seen Karina just put out a video the other day. I think 20 items that would make great Christmas gifts, and she had them all categorized into different things. And she mentioned your pot, your titanium pot, and the things that she really liked about it.
Yeah, much appreciated. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Who else is using it? I know Camper Christina really likes the twig stove.
Yeah, Christina. She loves it, and then Karina and
some CANOEHOUND guy.
Some CANOEHOUND guy uses it all the time.
CANOEHOUND, actually, yeah.
And then Pi Martin now, and I really
uses it.
Nate from Algonquin Outfitter, he uses it all the time. Yeah. So
you mentioned earlier where you can buy these. You actually have a few other products that you offer as well. Can you just go sort of give people an idea of cost on these things? Maybe starting with the stoves all the way down to reflector ovens, because you have them on your website, obviously.
Yeah. So the 4 stoves, of course, the basic stove, the cold roll stove, $69.95. And then the basic plus, which has the door and an extra cross strap, and that's makes it the basic plus. That's you're getting me in the $89 range, I think, not $90, and then $118 for the stainless steel, and $179.95 for the titanium. Titanium is expensive, and we're actually bringing it in from California. There's no wholesaler that can guarantee products here in Canada that we found, and we call a lot.
For the titanium itself, right?
Titanium itself, yeah. And our cutter won't bring titanium in. They didn't even know they could cut titanium with laser, right? But it does work. So they experimented and it works. And so we bring the stuff actually in from California, from San Diego, California. I just ordered a sheet of titanium again to make more product, and the prices went up. So the stove might go up in price a little bit, unfortunately. But anyway, those
Get them now while you can, people, before they jump in price.
We don't even have that money in stock right now. That's why I ordered, right?
Yeah.
Christmas is good. So $69 to $179, that price range for the stoves. The reflector oven is $139.95, right? And then we have the Fire Striker. These things they sell for $9.95. We have the spoons, the titanium spoons. What's the price on that?
We got the blow tubes.
$11.95. We have the blow tubes for $12 and change. We have the pots. The small pots is $69.95. The large pot is $89.95. Yeah. All the products are on the website. So
these things here are awesome. Eh? When your buddy's not looking, you could steal a sip of his beer, right? Right.
Yeah, just don't mix up sucking and blowing, because in a fire it can get pretty hot.
Right. So I just want to show off here really quickly. I've already mentioned it, but I mentioned it earlier in the show about how I store my stove, right? If anybody has one of these kicking around in their basement with their old CD collection, save it for your kid's stove, because it folds up and fits in here perfectly. Now, I've got a bunch of different things in here, because I've actually got a blow tube in here. I've got there's a blow tube. I keep my fuel lighter, my ferro rod, right? And then, of course, the stove itself. There it is, all compacted right in the bottom, and it sits in that ashtray that you guys also have, which and it all fits in there perfect. Like there's an entire stove right there, and this is the titanium stove. And it just if anybody's worried about getting soot or something within their backpack or something along that lines, by putting it in one of these CD cases that you might find, no soot anywhere. So, and it's all nice and compact, and everything's right in there, so you can get your fire going. And I was mentioning one time before too, they're called S-bit tablets. They're like a little fuel tablet that's about an inch long by inch by an inch or something like that. They really stink when they burn, but they work great on this. And I flip my whole stove upside down, put the straps on it there, and I use that, and it's just a perfect burn height. One of those will get a 1,100 mil pot of water going, boiling, and in the time it takes to burn one of those tabs. So good stuff.
On the stove. So when you turn it upside down, right? You got the legs here, right?
Yep.
And you can actually put the straps and the cross and lay the tablets on here. The feet are about an inch, and that's about what you need for those tablets to burn, right? And then we put the cross on here, and then you put your pot on there and put a tablet on either side. It works very well. I think yours we modified a little bit. We put a couple of cutouts in the legs.
I asked you if you could do that for me, and I appreciate that you did, because that's actually what I do use. You put
but you can use the bottom of the stove, and then or even if you have a large pot, you can put it over the legs, right?
Yeah. You know what, you guys have put a lot of planning in this, and you guys you've got a very good product here. I'd love to really see this hit a grander scale, which should be pretty cool, but it might interfere with your day jobs. Do you want to retire, or do you want a day job? So it's one of those things, right? If there's anybody else in the chat that wants to pop up and say anything, if not, you know what, maybe we'll talk about some of our little favorite recipes. I know we mentioned a few, the roast beef and stuff, but I've been trying to convince these guys to put together a recipe book or even a digital recipe book that might go with reflector ovens. I think that'd be a great idea. So if anybody in the chat has like a really cool reflective oven idea, meal idea that they want to share, come on up, because I like to hear all these ideas too, right?
Yeah, when Keith comes back from New Zealand, over the winter months, January, February, I think we're going to put our heads together and he's the cook. He has all the recipes. We might just
come up with something.
Something and a base recipe book, and then we can build on it. Perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things I kind of come up with, which was a really cool dessert idea, and so far I've tried it on about 3 different canoe trips, and everybody absolutely loved these. So you go to the store and you buy yourself those Mars bars. Everybody knows what a Mars bar is. If you go to, I think it's one of the dollar stores here in Ontario. They sell knockoff Mars bars, and you get 2 in a pack, and you get 2 packs for $1. So you're getting like 4 desserts for $1, plus the cost of a tortilla wrap, right? So essentially, you take your Mars bar and one of those Mars bars, and you put it in there, and then you roll it up with the tortilla thing, right? And you got to fiddle with the wrap once or twice to make sure you get it at the right spot so that it holds itself closed. And you put them inside of, in my case, I use my CGI pot or frying pan. So I line up maybe 4 in there or 5, depending how many we make for the guys. And you don't have to do this, but you can brush it with a bit of butter if you want. And then you could sprinkle a little bit of sugar on it or something, right? I think that was your idea, Helga, to sprinkle some sugar on that thing. And you put it into the reflector oven in front of the fire, and you wait until your pita wrap toasts and goes golden brown. So basically what you've done is, instead of doing one of those deep fried Mars bars, you're actually doing a baked Mars bar treat. And I'll tell you, let it cool off, because it'll melt your face off. But I'll tell you, everybody that I fed these to, and you're gonna need to brush your teeth afterwards too, because that stuff sticks to your teeth. But I'll tell you what a good treat that is. You know what I mean? And when you can get like 4 or 6 for $1 or $2, that's a great cheap dessert, and the guys love it. Comfort food, right?
A great burst of energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We chop wood for like half an hour after that. So
Yeah.
So yeah, and another thing I would like to say to people, I know we're saying goodbye to 2022 and 2023 is coming up, but we're gonna have the Outdoor Adventure Show coming up in February too. So we will be there, and then the Sportsman Show in March. So 2 great shows coming up. So people have nothing better to do in February. They want to come for a walk and come and say hi. We'll be there.
Yeah, yeah. So you're selling online too. If people ordered now, is there a chance that they can get these things by Christmas time?
That depends on Canada Post, but I mean, there's still a week, 10 days to go, right? There's probably a pretty good chance. I send out a parcel to the States today, and they said 9 days, so that's starting to cut it pretty close, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Alan Bierhaus says he uses 2 biscuits as pie crust. See the profile picture? Yeah. I'm looking at it's a small profile biscuit. Yeah, there's so many different things you could do out there, man. Like I say, for those of you that are bannock makers, great way to slow cook the bannock and probably lessens your chances of burning it like you could do on a fire, right?
Yeah, we just love making pizzas. I mean, we pile these pizzas on, and that's our favorite. Yeah, we got so many pizza recipes, you know. Yeah. Keith dehydrates the mushrooms and the onions and the peppers, you know, and I mean, we just pile this stuff on, and cheese. The more cheese, the better. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what is that there? That's not cinnamon buns. Do you remember what that is?
They are cinnamon buns.
They are. They don't look like cinnamon buns.
Yeah, I'm sure they're cinnamon buns.
They don't make anything.
This is up in Wickstead. Yeah, that's cinnamon buns.
I recognize my fire pit, or I mean that fire pit. Yeah.
Yeah, we had to modify it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. that was funny. We went there, and a week after you guys went up there.
Yeah.
And I still can't get over, like, here's a picture of the roast beef cooking in there.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and then let's see here if I can find the picture of the roast beef. There's a pizza going, right?
Yeah.
And these are so easy because you can buy like your naan bread at like Costco or something like that. You get like, I think 10 big naan inside of a package for $4.99. Some pizza sauce. We always carry pepperettes, so we slice up pepperettes, right? Yeah. When we went on our big trip this year, one of the fellows that come along with us is a mushroom hunter. And we actually went out and we found like chanterelle mushrooms and some hedgehogs and what was the other one there? Another type anyways. And we actually put fresh mushrooms on these things, right? So it's like pretty cool that you can forage something and actually have something like that. So yeah, it's cool stuff, man. I still can't. There's the like, look at that. It's still pink on the inside.
God, I'm getting hungry now.
Yeah. I know, right?
It still moves.
Stop it.
That is funny. Well, like I say, guys, you guys got a good thing going here. I'm very proud to be friends with all of you guys and to be able to trip on these. Well, go out canoe tripping with y'all. Yeah. Looking forward to some winter camping this year.
Yep.
And of course, you know, we'll be. Yeah. The neat thing about these ovens too, you can actually use these reflector ovens, and there's a picture of it. I think you guys actually, this is at a campgrounds, like it's got to be a provincial park.
Yeah, in a
provincial. We actually have the thing right inside of the fire pit.
Yeah. This one was one of our concerns. If you in a campground in a provincial park, they have these standard fire pits now. They're somewhat oval with a grid on top, and
wood pellets.
Yeah, but the reflector oven fits right in there, and there's still enough room to build a fire. Yeah,
half decent fire. Yeah.
Yeah. So can use it in provincial park fire pits.
There you go. Yeah, like I say, I thought it was here. Maybe it was on your Instagram page or something.
Mm-hmm.
So tell the folks where they can find your products and how they can find you on social media and stuff like that.
Yeah, so we're on Facebook, of course, website, Facebook, and Instagram, and we're in Southern Ontario in smaller stores, not in the box stores, in independent stores, I should say. Yeah, that's where we are, and of course at the shows, the outdoor adventure show, the sportsman show, the winter and summer symposium. That's where you find us.
Yeah.
We prefer if you go to our to the stores, to the retailers that buy the stuff, they can explain the stuff and show you outdoor oriented. Mike, he can explain this thing up and down, and of course Algonquin Outfitters and Frontenac Outfitters, Temagami Outfitters in North Bay. The organic boat shop in Beamsville, all these people that sell our product.
Paddle shop in
the paddle shop, yeah, and actually Nova Craft Canoe in London, the paddle shop. They have our product now, and we did a product knowledge seminar on these things, and they know all about it. And they can explain. You have questions, they all can help you along. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember running into Chris from Nova Craft Canoes at I think it was the Toronto Outdoor Adventure Show.
Yeah.
Or no, it was the Sportsman Show when I was there with you guys, and he come across and he kind of fell in love with your stove, and before you know it, he's carrying it at the London Paddle Shop now. So, so it's just a testament to the quality of the product that you're putting out. A lot of these specialty shops, like you say, the smaller or the independent shops are a lot of them are very careful with the stuff that they sell, because the last thing that they want, being small shops, or any product they sell coming back for a refund, because it's not a good piece of equipment.
Yeah, and we're not in the box stores. We're not in Sale or Mountain Co-op. It is hard to get into these places, and they have so many restrictions and so on and so forth, and we much rather not go in those and support the small independent business. That's what we like.
Well, as you guys know, I also like that too. I like supporting small business as well.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of great outdoor gear producers out there. Yourselves, I always go on about OTG Meals, another small operation, and a bunch of others that they're people making a living, making high quality, fine quality products. Right. And you can't beat that. So you know what, everybody, these things are made in Canada. The stoves and the reflector ovens, by all means, if it's something that you're ever in the market for, try it out. If you see them at one of the shows, go over and touch these things and feel them, and you could actually attest to the quality of them.
Yeah, and we explain everything. All of our customers are basically people that have the same interest, and we're all friends basically, and we probably run into each other out in the forest, somewhere in Algonquin Park or Temagami, and we love the stories. We love when people come to us with ideas. Great community. Absolutely.
Our trip to Naganash this year, you actually got recognized on the portage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you're that guy from Kid Products. Yeah.
Except when you showed up,
let's get
you were it.
Yeah. Embarrassed me. Well, it's awesome, guys. You know what? Thanks very much for once again for your support of the channel here. Like I say, I'm not only a lover of your products because we've got to be buddies. We became buddies because I'm a lover of your product.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, thank you
So
very much. Thanks.
that's a great thing. You cherish our friendship and the support that you've shown the channel. So to anybody out there, like I say, small business, if you're ever looking for something like this, by all means, please do consider. Not telling you to buy it, but I'm just saying, please do consider. Gentlemen, thanks very much for coming on for a sponsor spotlight tonight. And it's my pleasure to have had you on to talk about these things.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
And good luck to the prize winners.
Yeah. Did you want to hold that up one more time? I'm just going to put the question across the screen again so that everybody can have an opportunity at this. So the Kid stick stove is available in 3 different alloys. We've mentioned it a bunch of times. I think you're holding a stainless steel one. Wink, wink, nudge,
There's
nudge.
a stainless steel one, yeah, and there's one that are very light stuff called titanium, and then there's another one.
Yeah, but I saw another one that was made out of wood, and wood.
No, that doesn't count.
Yeah, the wood ones don't count.
That's another one.
Those are the single-use ones. They come in a 6-pack, them ones. And please do email your answers over to coasprize@gmail.com. You have until Friday at 11 o'clock to do so. I will be drawing 3 winners because you actually have 3 different prizes.
Yeah.
I'll let everybody know. First place will be the stove. Second will be the what was it, fire striker and a spoon, right?
Yeah, and the third one
Throw
is
a blow tube in too. Come on.
Okay.
There you go. Hey, okay. And then you're throwing in a headlamp for third place, right?
Yeah.
Now you guys don't carry headlamps, right?
No, we don't. No, we don't. But we did get some to try out, and we got a few more. And it's a great product. We don't sell it. Don't sell it yet. Maybe down the road. We don't know. But it is a great headlamp, and that should go to somebody that will enjoy it. Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. Thanks very much, guys. I'm going to put you in the basement. I'm going to close up the show here, and we'll see you in a few minutes in the green room.
Sounds good. Have a good evening, everybody. Cheers.
Good night,
Thanks
everybody.
again. Cheers, boys.
Merry Christmas.
Well, everybody, I hope you all enjoyed the show. It was a fun evening. You know, it's always cool to have somebody on that you know personally. Like I say, these are great guys. All 4 of them super fun guys. If you do see them at a show, whether you buy their product or not, you know what? Go over and talk to them because they're all a wealth of knowledge. They all know stick stoves inside and out, reflector ovens. They'll share all kinds of tips with you, and you never know. You know what? You might end up with these guys as your buddies as well because, like I say, they're great guys. Just as a reminder, next week is our last show of the 2022 year. We'll be back on January the 3rd. For anybody out there that's in the hammock camping, January 3rd show is going to be with a fellow by the name of, his hang name is Skunk Ape, and he's basically from the Hammock Hangers podcast, and we're going to be talking about the podcast and a little bit of hammock stuff and all kinds of winter stuff and frozen butt hangs and all kinds of neat things like that. So it should be a fun show. But next week on the show, we have our winter or our Christmas soiree. Come on out, be festive with everybody. Please, you know what? Muster up the courage. Turn on that mic and that webcam and join us on panel for a couple minutes. Wish everybody in the chat over there a Merry Christmas or a Happy Holidays or Happy Hanukkah or whatever it is you may or may not celebrate. But you know what? By all means, please do join us for a festive evening. Be ready with cocktails in hand and, maybe sitting by the camp or your fireplace fire and stuff like that. So come on out and join us. It's going to be a fun evening. In the meantime, everybody have yourselves a great week. Please stay safe and healthy, and we will see you next week. Keep the adventures alive.